Okay, so what we did today is we began to talk about theme using the screw tape letters, which y'all have finished and taken notes on. And so this will be an easy one to write about because you've read it, you've taken notes, you've had a discussion with Mr. Scott, and so we can learn this one writing technique with this book. Every book has a theme or many themes, and this one has many as well. So what we did today, and the first step in finding a theme, is to take a bunch of ideas that come from the book. So these would be nouns that are ideas. We don't want anything concrete like the church or demons, right? We want something that is abstract. So if you can think of nouns that are ideas, that is the first step in finding themes. So that is step number one. So what we did is we listed a lot of things on the board. And this largely came from the class. We talked about temptation, humility, pride or self-righteousness came up a lot. Okay, so he talked about the law of undulation, and that just meant a series of peaks and valleys, where a Christian kind of does this his whole life. Like, we kind of rise and fall spiritually, meaning we have, just periods of great emotion and periods of less emotion. Lewis talks about that as being a normal thing, but he called it undulation. Self-centeredness, he talked about time, anxiety, prayer came up a lot, repentance came up a lot. He talked about resolutions in one chapter and how young Christians will often make sweeping grand resolutions, and how Wormwood could use those resolutions to disappoint his Christian and keep him in a constant state of disappointment and frustration and maybe even give up. We talked about pleasure. C.S. Lewis talks about pleasure. He talks about joy or laughter. I think we listed even more, but as I'm home, I'm trying to make this organized. So the first thing in theme is to get yourself a list of ideas that come from the book. Different books have different ideas. For example, power is not an idea that comes up in the screw tape letters. Betrayal. Those are different books, right? Racism. That would be a theme for a different book. So we want ideas that come from the book we're working on. So the second step is to make a sentence that says, C.S. Lewis believes that. Now, pick one of these that you feel like you might easily write on. And you might actually do this. You might write 3 sentences and see how it goes. So this is the second step. Lewis believes that. So I'm going to start with temptation. I'm just going to pick the top one. And this is the one that I came up with. I actually came up with 3 sentences because he doesn't just say one thing about temptation. He says many things about it. But, we're going to write our paper on one theme. So there is my Lewis believes that, and then there's my issue, right? I'm picking temptation. What does he believe about temptation? So here's what I came up with. Lewis believes that temptation is meant to keep one from becoming a believer or to keep believers in a constant state of anxiety. And I can find lots of places in the screw tape letters where the demons talk about this. Let's do pleasure. Lewis believes that. Now, what does he believe about pleasure? Because another book believes something else about pleasure, but we want Lewis's thoughts on it. So there's my idea. And, you can come up with anything. You can come up with anything as long as it's what C.S. Lewis believes, or what he thinks about it, or what he said about it. Lewis believes that pleasure is God's idea, right? Do you remember that? The demons say we can use pleasure, but remember, we haven't been able to come up with one single pleasure that wasn't already designed by heaven. So Lewis believes that pleasure is God's idea and can only be used as a harmful temptation if the pleasure is twisted or changed. So here I have a theme. Here I have a theme, and I'm using this one word idea to come up with a theme. So you can see this book touches on a lot of things. Let's do joy and laughter, and then I'll finish up. So what does Lewis think about joy or laughter? Lewis believes that joy or laughter, whichever one you want, is a powerful Christian experience leading to greater love and faithfulness. Like, he talked a lot about how pure joy and like pure laughter are one of the greatest things God has given us. And it's actually almost like medicinal spiritually. It's almost like a medicine. And it has this product of better charity, better love, better thoughts. So I just kind of took all those thoughts and made it one sentence. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out, I'm going to pick which one I want to write about. And I'm not sure which one I want to write about yet, but let's say it's pleasure. I'm going to take out Lewis believes that. And then I'm going to capitalize this. And my theme becomes pleasure is God's idea and can only be used as a harmful temptation if the pleasure is twisted or changed. And that is how far we got today. So again, you're finding the theme of a book, come up with a list of ideas, just a bunch of random things. You'll hone it down to maybe 3 that you like, 3 or 4 that you really feel like you can write about. Step 2, write Lewis believes that, and then put one of your ideas in the blank and say what Lewis believes about it. Now, he believes 2 or 3 things usually, but write 2 or 3 things, then you can decide which one you like. And then take out the words Lewis believes that, and you are left with a good theme that is one sentence. Again, themes are sentences. They're not single words, but those single words are what produce your theme. Okay. That's theme. See you later.